In their workshops, the young activists try to come up with concrete plans to tackle climate change. They discuss fuel, food, fashion, every aspect of our lives. Among them, Greta Thunberg, having decried world leaders for meaningless slogans which sound to her like blah, blah, blah. Will the talking here be more meaningful? They got backing from the Pope, who spoke via video link in Spanish.
We need to think how to do things differently.
And what some might call plenty of pontificating from various education ministers, some of whom seemed more engaged than others. Even in their breaks, many were exchanging policy ideas.
It is a great opportunity for me, and that will make the voice of youth in my country to be heard, also to make the voice of African to be heard.
So what is it you want from decision makers?
Well, I guess Greta brought it down good yesterday, is that the talking, the blah, blah, blah needs to stop. And we know that solutions are there, but the political will is not there.
And there was a chance to sample Italian cuisine, which some enjoyed more than others.
How's the food?
Well, not liking it. To speak for the African, we're not really liking the food here so far.
The young delegates in Milan will send on their recommendations to the climate summit in Glasgow. The aim is clear: cut emissions and keep global temperatures from rising. But will the solutions offered up here be palatable to politicians?
Well, a little earlier, we sat down with a group of young activists here at the conference. They were from India, Pakistan, Argentina, Sudan and Moldova. And I started by asking them how climate change is already affecting their own countries.
The impacts of climate crisis are being experienced by our communities in the name of cyclones and landslides and forest fires. It's also very unfortunate and sad because we have been the guardians of the nature, and at the cost of our life we have been defending the nature. Yet when we are the least contributors to climate crisis, we are facing the most impacts of climate crisis.
Zainab, you're nodding there. You tell me how climate change has affected Pakistan already.
There has been huge urban flooding in Karachi, which is the economic hub of Pakistan. It was unprecedented. It broke records for 89 or so years, and it completely or almost destroyed the infrastructure of the city. Other than that, we have massive and intense heat waves that kill people, and then they can't get out of their houses. And other than that, we have locust attacks on fields, and crop yields are affected.
The last big flood we had, thousands of people lost their houses, and we do not have the resources to repair or restore that. So every day we are suffering. Every day a worse situation.
Right now we have a choice, either to silently watch our futures burn down, our futures get destroyed, or to take action right now.
You all speak very passionately about climate change. Do you have any real power to do anything about this crisis?
Yes, I think we do have power, and it's all we have demonstrated what we can do. The youth voices have brought a change in this entire discussion of climate action.
Power is not given, power is taken. So to answer your question, we have as much power as we can take.
Are the politicians listening to you?
In our region, in Latin America and the Caribbean, the one who has the resources, who owns the resources, has the real power. Because they can listen to us, but if they don't act, they can say a lot of beautiful words, but if they don't act, it doesn't mean anything. We are growing in numbers, and we are not only growing in numbers of youth. Other generations are joining us.
In a few weeks' time, world leaders are going to gather in Glasgow. What do you want to see from them?
First of all, what is climate finance? By Paris Agreement, that by or after 2020, every year we have to mobilize $100 billion as climate finance. A lot of countries are claiming that they already mobilized that, but when you try to break down what they are spending actually the money in, is not really climate finance, at least not for us.
We have seen in the past that the world leaders, the very world leaders who draw up agreements, who mobilize other countries to sign on those agreements, those are the same countries that back out from those agreements, and there is no one to ask them why. A developing country or an underdeveloped country, if they back out, international pressure would make them continue with the agreement. But there's no one to ask the developed countries, the big powers, why they have backed out. I see a gap there. What I want the leaders to be discussing is accountability measures for them to live up to their promises.
You're all agreed that climate change needs tackling, but there are many, many people, whether they're in government or ordinary people around the world, who are not yet convinced. How are you going to convince them? Because at the moment you're talking to people who agree with you. So what are you going to do to convince those who are not yet sold on this?
They don't care about climate change because they have other stuff to care about when you do not have food to eat. So we are proposing in our region to distribute the land in another way, to give access to the people so they can work the land, they can do, for example, sustainable communities with bioconstruction, grow their own food, grow their own energy.
So I think there's a difference between who does not want to understand and who is not aware about it. This terminologies like climate action and climate crisis is it again in English, but if you go to the local level, that same phenomenon is understood in different language and different ways and concepts. So it's also very important to reach out to the grassroots level and make them understand in their own language and in their own traditions.